We're on page 10 of the NEFAR suggested form of purchase and sale agreement. The first two lines are a continuation of the other that is at the end of the prior page. 18 is an important paragraph. There's a lot in there. Read it, but I'm going to summarize it. It says, only the things in this contract count. Nothing verbal counts. When I was in law school, I had a professor who said, I don't care if you have 12 nuns as witnesses. An oral contract to buy and sell real estate is not enforceable. And any oral agreements as part of a contract are not enforceable. So we say it has to be in writing. And in 488, we say the parties have not relied on any other representations, including anything in the multiple listing service. So if it said that the refrigerator conveys in the MLS, but you didn't check it off in this contract, then the seller can keep the refrigerator if they want. The other thing it says, if any changes are made to the contract, that too has to be in writing. We have changed the type of writing to the extent that we think a text would now be a writing. If you look at the lines that begin at 493, we say executed and transmitted by electronic media. We took out including email and fax. We want it broader. We think a writing could include a text now. If you do it by text, I would advise you to take a screenshot and save it. But we on the committee, and I as NEFAR's attorney, believe that a text would satisfy the language in this agreement now. At the end of that, we say at the last three lines of that paragraph, we say that for emphasis, some things have been bolded, but everything is important. Just because something's not in bold, we want to point out that it's still an important provision of the contract. We say that in the middle of the following paragraph, beginning at about 502, that any assignable contracts are deemed assigned from the seller to the buyer at no cost to the buyer, other than if the company providing that warranty charges a transfer fee. For example, if there's a termite bond and the seller's prepaid it and it's paid for months in advance, the buyer gets all that. There's no proration of that. We don't define that as a prorated item. But if the company charges a transfer fee, $100 or so, then buyer, if you want the termite bond, you have to pay the transfer fee. So if we've got home warranty, or we've got appliance warranty, or we've got termite bond warranty, then those things are deemed automatically assigned to the buyer at closing, and this puts it in writing. Another thing that it says there is in 19 is time is of the essence. That means that time periods have to be strictly adhered to. We did make one change. I used to say you could go to bed at 7 o'clock and thank the forms committee. Now you can't go to sleep until 9. If you'll notice, paragraph 19, line 508, has changed from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. in this new version of the contract. Many of the realtors on the forms committee say, we or our buyers or sellers aren't getting home by 7 o'clock sometimes. And so we've extended that time, and it's Eastern time that we're talking about. We also talk about that any dates other than the date of acceptance that end on a Saturday, Sunday, or a federal holiday extend the contract performance date to the next date that isn't one of those. So not counting the date for offer and acceptance, but every other date, time to apply for the loan, time to get the loan, time to get the home inspection, time to ask for repairs, time to close. If that last day or is a Saturday, Sunday, or one of the 10 well-defined federal holidays, if it falls on that date, we automatically would go to the next day that's not that. We say in line 512, one time only do we need to say, broker as used in this agreement includes all of broker's licensees. So you may have noticed throughout the contract, we say broker, 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 so we include all of the licensees with one sentence that takes care of that. 22, might surprise you that not everybody knows their social security numbers. We need them at closing. If there's a loan closing, they're going to be all over the documents that I get from the lender. They'll be on a W-9, and they'll be on a 4506T. We don't in the loan application, but some older sellers may not know their social security number, and we can't finish the closing without it because we have to file a 1099 telling IRS that this particular seller with this social security number sold the property for X dollars. So if you've got the little old man seller who may not know it, I would suggest that perhaps you ask them and you write it down. I don't think you should make a copy of it. It's too dangerous. But write it down and bring it to the closing and then burn it up when we're done if you think you've got the little old man that may not remember his Social Security number. 1031 exchanges are not that common, but we had room, so we keep them in the contract. 1031 is a section of the IRS code that says that a seller of non-homestead property, of investment property, can defer the payment of taxes on the gain they made if they buy another investment property within a certain amount of time. There's some hoops to jump through. The first hoop is that the purchase and sale agreement has to allow for that, and so it does. But again, it cannot be used for the sale or purchase of a primary residence. Paragraph 24 is a good one. If I need to get a payoff letter and the lender says to me, I can't do it without the permission of the seller, I could send him the first page of the contract. I'd block out the price, this page and the signature page, and there's the authorization. A tip: tell the settlement agent the last 4 digits of all of your seller's Social Security numbers, because when we order a payoff letter, very often we have to put the last 4 digits in there, and then the lender will give us the payoff letter. 25 talks about foreign owners. We love our foreign buyers. We love our Canadians, our Israelis, our Argentinians, our Germans. But when they sell property, Uncle Sam wants its share of the profit tax as an income tax. And we know if they go back to Canada or Argentina, we're not going to get the tax. So in about 1996, this Foreign Investment and Real Property Tax Act was passed by the federal government that says buyers, yikes, buyers, have to withhold money from foreign sellers, with a couple of exceptions I'll tell you about in a moment. So if any of the sellers are not U.S. citizens, then we have to be concerned. If they have a green card, they're considered U.S. citizens. So our only concern is if there's any seller without a green card or not a U.S. citizen. Then here are the exceptions. 1, you're not foreign if you have a green card. And 2, if the price of the home is $300,000 or less and the buyer is going to live in it at any time during the next 24 months, more than anybody else will live in it, then you don't have to withhold. But I would say that if you've got a seller who's foreign and the price is over $300,000, or you're not sure if an investor buyer is going to buy it, you should get them to a CPA or a tax attorney who knows how to do this paperwork. They'll probably charge $700 or $800, and then at closing they'll send me the paperwork, or the closing agent the paperwork, and we'll have it filled out and we'll know how much to withhold. If the price is under $1 million, it's basically 10% of the selling price. If it's over $1 million, it's 15% of the selling price. And not all sellers net that much money, so they may have to bring money to closing. So it's real important that you address this if your sellers are not U.S. citizens. Paragraph 26 says the buyer makes the offer and says, seller, I'm giving you till this date and time to accept my offer. I say be reasonable. If you made an offer today, it's not reasonable to expect an answer from the seller tonight. Inquire, is the seller in town? Are they in a hospital? Are they on a vacation? What's the time that they need? So it may be a couple of days. And we say in there at 533 that if there's a counteroffer, unless you fill in a number of different hours, then the time is 24 hours. 27 talks about when do we have a contract? What is the acceptance date? I like to teach that we don't have secret signings. That is, an offer is made and it's sent to the seller. She just got back home from a business trip. It's 11 p.m. She sees it on the computer. She signs it, DocuSign, but she says, I'm going to bed. Nobody's going to get it. It's 11 o'clock. I'll send it tomorrow morning. And so tomorrow morning, then, it's received by their realtor, and the buyer's realtor then received it from the listing agent. When was the contract date? Was it 11 o'clock tonight when she signed it? No. It's tomorrow when everybody received it. So again, let's talk about how we count days. Let's pretend that everybody got the contract today. It was signed and everybody has it today. Day 1 is tomorrow. So many times in this contract, it says within so many days after the date of this contract. So day 1 would be tomorrow if it was signed and everybody had a copy today. That concludes page 10 of the NEFAR Suggested Form of Purchase and Sale Agreement.